Hi, I'm Maria Walther.
And I'm Jessica Walsh.
We're two traveling teachers, and we're still traveling in our homes through books. So we will share some of our favorite May titles with you, and Jess is going to kick us off.
All right, so I'm so excited to share Any Day with You by May Respicio. This is an incredibly beautiful middle grade novel about the relationship between a 12-year-old girl named Kaya and her Tatan, who is her great-grandfather. And he was born in the Philippines and has lived in California with Kaya and her family for Kaya's entire life. He goes back to the Philippines sometimes to visit, but always comes home. And at the beginning of summer, Kaya finds out that Tatan is going back to the Philippines and he won't be returning. He wants to live out the rest of his years home. And so I wrote down so many lines from this book, beautiful language about home and family and stories and learning about the histories of our own ancestors. It was like gold for me. I love stories about place and geography, and it was just so beautiful. I'm gonna tear up thinking about it. It was it would be a perfect class read aloud, I think, because I think there's so much you can talk about with place and with story. I did find a video on YouTube of May providing short reading and writing prompts. So there's some great resources out there too if teachers want to do this as a class read aloud. So this is out now. It's called Any Day with You by May Respicio.
All right, and then I have two books about friendship. I'm going to start with I'm Sticking With You by Smriti Halls and Steve Small. It's a debut picture book for Steve, so it's his first illustrated book. It's just a fun book about two friends. One is this very kind of accident-prone bear, and the other is this little teeny squirrel, and they're friends. And finally, Squirrel has just kind of had enough of their friendship, so he takes a little break. And in that time, what Squirrel realizes is that Bear, as a friend, really makes him the best squirrel that he can be. So they rejoin their friendship. It's really about the ups and downs of friendship. You can add it to your friendship collection. That's I'm Sticking With You. It came out in May by Smriti Halls and Steve Small. And I'm going to pair that with another book about friendship. This is a friendship between a little boy, Ollie. You see him here, right here. There he is. And Augustus, the big dog, which is just fun. And this is by an Australian author and illustrator. So Ollie and Augustus are best of friends. They love doing things together, but then Ollie has to go to school. And Ollie is really worried about Augustus. What's Augustus going to do? So he puts out a want ad for dog friends for Augustus, and none of them fit the bill. And there's a illustration where all the dogs are in line waiting for their interview. Hilarious. And so finally, Ollie goes off to school, and what happens is Augustus has a great time on his own, and it's just fine. And then when they come back together, Augustus is waiting at the door when Ollie gets home from school. So those are just two friendship books to read with your readers.
Awesome. All right, up next, I have another May book. This is The Unicorn Rescue Society, The Madre de Aguas of Cuba by Adam Gidwitz and Emma Otegui. Emma Otegui is one of my favorites for middle grades. And so this is another installment in the Unicorn Society series, which we've talked about before. Adam Gidwitz is pairing with a variety of authors, Joseph Bruchac, David Bowles, Hannah Khan, and now Emma. And so this is just a romping adventure. I love mystical creatures, and so the Unicorn Rescue Society, of course, is fighting for the protection of magical creatures. And so this time the duo comes to hi, Charlie's here.
Hey, Charlie, hey, you gonna come book talk with us?
Sneaky. He's saying I'm sneaky.
You are sneaky.
So it's just a fun mystery. I picture families coming together to read aloud this together. The chapters are super short, so it'd be perfect for an afternoon read, back and forth, chapter to chapter, or at night reading short chapters back and forth. And there's just lots of fun stuff online for this too, that families can come together to learn more about the Unicorn Rescue Society. And you don't have to have read these in order, I don't think. I think you can pop in, start with this one, and then you can go back if you want. So Charlie's saying hi. So that's The
Okay.
Unicorn Rescue Society by Adam Gidwitz and Emma Oteki. Out now.
Okay. And then I'm going to talk about relationships. And this is, here you go. Papa Brings Me the World. Brings Me the World. And when I got this book, Jess, I thought of you. You will absolutely love this book. It's beautiful. It's by Jenny Sue Kostecki Shaw, who wrote one of my favorite books that I've talked about a lot, Same but Different. Yeah. And in this book, it's actually based on Jenny's childhood and her father. In this book, the girl Lou, her father travels. He's a photojournalist, so he travels all over the world. And in those travels, he brings home treasures, and he gives those treasures to Lou. And he's always telling her stories about her travels. So it's about traveling, it's about story. In their home, they have a map on their kitchen wall to map all the travels. So that happened in the book and in Jenny's real life. Wow. And at the end, the father takes her on an adventure. And so I know you love books with maps, so you're going to love this book because it has a map here you can see of all the places where all the treasures in the book came from. And then it has the real artifacts that Jenny's dad brought for her. So I can just see this as a jumping off point for talking about artifacts, travel, maps. It's just a beautiful, beautiful book. Papa Brings Me the World by Jenny Sue Kostecki Shaw. And then since we're talking about treasures, I have one more. And this is Khalil and Mr. Heggerty and the Backyard Treasures. It's by Tricia Springstub and Elahe Taharian. And in this book, the little boy lives in an apartment above Khalil. So he lives above Mr. Heggerty. And they both love the backyard. So they spend their time in the backyard. Khalil helps Mr. Heggerty remember the words he forgets. Mr. Heggerty helps Khalil to read words. And what happens is in their garden, in Mr. Heggerty's garden isn't growing and Khalil isn't finding treasures. So one night they go and plant something for each other. Khalil plants something in the garden. Mr. Heggerty plants something. And it's just a beautiful book of intergenerational friendship, treasure hunting. So those are my two treasures.
All right. Yeah, that sounds, those books sound beautiful. And I think Charlie would like to read those with me.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So my final book I'm going to share is Every Missing Piece by Melanie Conklin, which I read on my e-reader. I loved this book so much. More like just, I shouldn't have been surprised that it was going to be a great book from Melanie Conklin, but it was just so much more than I expected. It's got everything. I mean, it has, it's a story about things changing after loss. There's some mystery in there. The main character, Maddie, is recovering from the death of her father. And she's developed some anxiety behaviors around that, behaviors that will help her feel like she's in control. And the story kicks off with the news story of a boy who's gone missing and in her state. And she, is swept up in the story just like everybody else. And one day when school starts, so flash forward, she comes across a new boy, and she actually comes across him in the woods. And she's had a lot of kind of misguided paths she's followed down because of, she's like, her senses are heightened from her anxiety. And so she believes that perhaps this boy is the missing boy from the news story. And her and her friends start to kind of investigate. Meanwhile, she's navigating new changes in her family. And this is so odd. I hardly ever cry when I read books, but I cry all the time, yep. Commercials, everything. And sometimes I'll tear up, I'll tear up, I'll get the watery eyes in books. I cried at least 3 times at the end of this book, all this morning before breakfast. And it was just so beautifully done. Like, I think that speaks, I'll cry during audiobooks because I think I hear it in the narrator's voice. And so I think when I'm reading print books, like it's just not as emotional for me. I'm not getting all the sensory, but I think it just speaks to Melanie's writing craft that these scenes, I just couldn't help myself. The tears were just flowing. And so I think that because there's so much to talk about, like, and I'm not even covering like everything that happens in this book. It's just so, and it's a quick read too. And so for all these things to be so tightly woven into this book and done so beautifully, it's just masterful. I think it would be an incredible book club book, because the conversations, like, I couldn't stop reading it. I didn't want to go to bed at night. I'd get up first thing in the morning, keep reading. And so I'm just so excited for this to get into kids' hands. It comes out on Tuesday, May 19th.
Okay.
So it'll be out in the world very, very soon. You can pre-order. It's Every Missing Piece by Melanie Conklin. And that's my final May book I'd like to share.
All right. So we're two traveling teachers with Charlie today. And we'll see you next time. Stay safe, be healthy, take care.
Bye.
Bye.